Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and I'm excited to be back in the kitchen with my friends at Whole Kids Foundation. And today it's all about eating more greens. I'll share some simple and most importantly delicious ways to add more greens to your meals. These cooking tips are ones that I've learned through the years and have adapted for my own family. It's nothing fancy or fussy or even complicated. They're just practical and customizable ways that work for us. I hope that this inspires you to get back into the kitchen and experiment together as a family. Speaking of family, joining me today is my daughter Mia. She's going to help us out with the very first creation. You ready to get started? What are we making today?
We are making smoothies.
Smoothies are all about ratios. It's a ratio of your solid ingredients to your liquid. And in this case, we want to pack in the vitamins from fruits and vegetables and minimize any added sugar that we put into our smoothies. You could even go one step further with your prep and go ahead and pre-portion all of the frozen ingredients that you want to add to your smoothie. And then when you're ready for that moment where you're not wanting to cook at all or you just need something quick, then you can just pour all the pre-packaged ingredients into your blender and get it and add your liquid. I always like to start with just a little bit of the liquid at the bottom of your bowl here. And that way it'll just help try to blend everything nice and easy. And then Mia, I'm gonna add in the frozen stuff. If you will dump in a little bit of those fresh fruits. So add this here, okay? And you add in what you want. So we've got the blackberries. So while she's adding this in, this is a good time for you to decide how do you want your smoothie. So if you want a smoothie that you can pour into a glass and drink, then you're going to add more liquid to your smoothie. If you want a smoothie that you can put into a bowl and maybe add some really nice toppings to it, then you're gonna use less liquid because you want a little bit of a thicker smoothie. It's great. So she's got her spinach and then we're gonna put, what is this, peanut butter. We're gonna put some peanut butter. And if you don't want peanut butter, you can use any nut butter you like, or you don't even have to use a nut butter at all. And then we're gonna add just a little bit of honey in here, just a little squeeze. Some other substitutes for the honey, you could always use maple syrup, or you could use some agave in there as well. So we've got all of this, we've got the frozen stuff. So what are we doing? Are we doing a bowl or are we gonna put this in a glass? What do you wanna do?
We are putting it in a bowl.
We're gonna do a bowl today. Okay, I'm gonna get my bowl ready. So that means I want this to be pretty thick. So I'm not gonna use too much of our coconut water in here, but I am just gonna get it started. And we're gonna go high. And that should do it. So Mia, if you'll grab our bowl, there, great. Slide this over. So we're gonna get this out. So if you look at it, I don't know if you can see this, but it's going to be pretty thick. That's okay, because we're gonna get it in a bowl. And if you want it thinner, then you're just gonna add more of your liquid. And then the toppings that I had on hand, I had some dried fruit here. So it looks like we've got some dates and some cranberries, some granola, we'll be add some nice crunch and some chopped nuts. So you can just take your bowl, garnish it however you like, and that is our smoothie for today. So it's a great way to start out the day. We've got our greens, we've got our fruits and vegetables in there, all in one portable bowl. Salads seem like an obvious way to get your greens in. It's probably what people automatically think of when they want to start eating healthy. But many people treat salads as a side dish or something that's on the side of your plate. But there's no reason why a salad can't be your main course. When I was a kid, we used to go to this restaurant, and I don't remember much about the menu, but I do remember this long salad bar that was in the middle of the restaurant. And I used to get so excited by going from one end of the salad bar all the way down to the end and seeing all the different ingredients, all the different colors and varieties. And the best part was I was able to choose exactly what I wanted and how much of it. This is the same reason why having salad bars in schools has proven to be a successful model for improving kids' nutrition in schools. We give kids access to fresh fruits and vegetables along with the power of choice. So again, we don't really need a recipe for a salad, but I really want to encourage you to reimagine your salad experience, starting with the types of greens that you use. The base of the salad doesn't have to be plain lettuce like a romaine or an iceberg. Think about trying out an arugula or a Swiss chard or even watercress. And then from there, think about what you have on hand in the refrigerator. Maybe you have some leftover roasted vegetables or other produce. Maybe you have some beans and grains in the pantry. Maybe you have some leftover rotisserie chicken or a roasted salmon that would all be great additions to your salad. From there, I want you to think about layering your salads with different textures. So you want to put something crunchy on there with like maybe some nuts or some of these salad toppers that they have on the market now. You can also maybe think about putting something chewy in there, like some dried fruits. I also always like to use some fresh fruits like peaches or nectarines or even apples. Chopped apples would be really a lovely addition to your salad. So let's shift over and talk about the salad dressing. There's a whole range of salad dressings on the market right now. There's creamy dressings, there's a vinaigrette, there's light ones, there's fruity ones, all at different price ranges too, anywhere from $3 to $10. Salad dressing is something that we can easily make at home with pantry staples, and it comes together very quickly. I'm going to use the help of a jar to help me make this salad dressing. I like to think about these in terms of ratios. So I know I want to make enough salad dressing to get me maybe 4 or 6 servings. And what's great about the jar is that you can see exactly how much you're putting in terms of the ratios. So I always start with my mustard. And the reason I like to start with mustard is because it helps to emulsify all of my ingredients and give my salad dressing some structure. So for the mustard, I'm going to add, again, enough to maybe get me through 4 to 6 servings. This is probably good. And then from there, with my sweetener, I'm only going to use half as much of the sweetener that I put in for the mustard. If you don't have honey, you can certainly use a maple syrup, or you could use an agave. I'm just gonna eyeball this. Now, for the acid that I'm gonna use apple cider vinegar. I like a really sharp dressing, so I'm gonna add probably 3 times as much, but 2 to 3 times as much of the vinegar as you put the mustard should be a good rule of thumb. So I'm gonna go a little bit on the heavier side. There we go. And now before I mix this all up, I definitely wanna add some salt. And you can add some other seasonings in here that you have in your pantry if you want to use some of the oregano that you have, dried oregano. Dried parsley would be great. Maybe you even have some garlic powder would be a lovely addition in there as well. So I'm just gonna put some salt and some pepper in here. Shake it all up. And there you have your vinaigrette. Now, as you notice, I didn't add any oil to my vinaigrette because I really don't think you need it. But if you do like just to have a little bit of that olive oil taste at the very end, you can always just add a little drizzle at the very end of your salad. But for this, I'm just gonna keep this with no oil, and this can stay in your refrigerator for about a week. Greens are an incredibly versatile and friendly vegetable. Eat them raw, roasted, braised, even grilled. If you're looking for a fast, nutritious side dish though, sautéing is definitely the way to go. We're gonna start out with Swiss chard. And you can really, there are a lot of great sautéing greens. Swiss chard is a lovely one, but you could also use obviously spinach or kale if you have that on hand. So if we get our pan heated, today I'm gonna show you a tip where you don't have to use any oil at all in sautéing your greens. So I'm gonna wait for this to get heated. Once it gets hot, I'm gonna use vegetable stock. And you can use any stock. You could use vegetable stock, chicken stock, whatever stock you have. Or if you don't have any stock at all, you could always just use water instead. So what I'm gonna do is add a little bit to the bottom here. And I can see it and hear it sizzling. So I'm gonna get my greens in here. And this is gonna cook up really, really fast. So resist the urge to start to move it around. You wanna get the heat in contact with the greens themselves, and you don't wanna add any salt at this point, because what happens is when you start to add the salt to the greens, it's gonna draw and pull out all the moisture from the greens, and then you're gonna end with a pool of liquid at the bottom. So I hear it sizzling, so I'm just going to take a little peek at the bottom here, and I see that the bottoms are starting to wilt a little. So now I'm just gonna start to flip it around. So this would probably honestly be enough for myself. So if you want to cook for your family, you gotta 1, start with a bigger pan, and 2, do twice as much. All right, so it's starting to cook down and wilt. As you can see here, like it's not sticking. I think a lot of people overdo it on the oil because they're afraid it's gonna stick to the bottom of your pan. One, I'm starting with a non-stick pan, so that always helps, but there's no sticking involved here with this, and there's no oil in my pan. So as it cooks down, I get it to this point where I start to see it soften and it also changes color. I'm gonna turn the heat off At this point is where I'm going to add in my salt. So I'm gonna add a little bit of salt just to amp up the flavor a little bit. And there's residual heat from the pan is gonna continue to cook those greens so I don't end up with a wet puddle at the bottom. And whenever I cook dark greens, I always like to have some sort of acid at the very end. I have apple cider vinegar, but you could use a red wine vinegar as well. And you just need a couple drops. This is like my measuring spoon, so I just use usually a capful, and what that does, it just kind of brightens the whole thing up, and it kind of cuts through any bitterness in your greens that you may have. So this is a great, quick side dish. It came together in, 2 minutes? You can put this on top of a bed of grains. You could put it in, thinking like right now, you could also put it on like a baked sweet potato. It would be lovely if you put your greens on top of that. Maybe put a little bit of tahini on top of that, and it makes a very nutritious meal. Adding greens into your family's meals is easier than you think. First off, if you are in the kitchen cooking, you are on the right track. Cooking at home is a great first step in creating healthy meals. And if you can bring your family into the mix and cook together, it's even better. Greens can be added to every meal in your day, even snack time. Take breakfast. Breakfast, you're gonna blend up a smoothie, add some greens to your smoothie. Toss greens into your scrambled eggs or even a tofu scramble. Top your avocado toast with some leftover sauteed greens from the night before. At lunchtime, maybe you're having a grain bowl with some roasted vegetables. You can add some sauteed greens to that and have some black beans and some salsa, or turn your grain bowl into a Swiss chard wrap. At snack time, blend up some spinach into store-bought hummus, or even make your own bean dip. Pair it with some pita chips or some tortilla chips. You can bake up some kale chips, season it with some everything bagel seasoning, and take it on the go. For dinner, build a hearty salad and swap out your usual romaine iceberg lettuce with some Swiss chard or kale, or even some raw broccoli. Add greens to a big batch of soup, pasta sauces, or even into your casserole. Mia, what are some of your favorite ways to eat greens?
I like kale salad and sauteed greens.
I hope you enjoyed learning some simple and delicious ways to incorporate greens into your diet. You could even create your own family greens challenge. Here are a few ideas to include. Eat greens once a day, make it a smoothie Saturday. Declare one day a week as salad day. Try a new green each week. Find a way to add a daily green to your breakfast recipe. Head to wholekidsfoundation.org for more recipes and our Kids Club section to download the Better Bites sheets, which feature kid-friendly recipes and activities your kids will love. We'll see you in the kitchen.